Hi, Hannah.
Hi, Bradley.
It's so fun to hit record, and you're like, "Oh, we're recording. Oh, now it's serious. Now we
The
can't have
pressure
fun and
on.
laugh anymore."
Exactly.
No, we can just keep going.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So
thank
it's
you.
great to, yeah, my pleasure. It's great to have you. I'm really excited about talking about Amsterdam Academy Press and what you're doing and what we're doing. And so for the record, you want to do a quick hello with who you are and as relates to Amsterdam Academy Press and also, well, we are both in the Netherlands, both Americans in the Netherlands. So maybe a little background for those who don't know you and a little bit how you got started. Because that's really my first question is how did you get started or like why? Why did you get started with Amsterdam Academy Press? So
Yeah,
how is
sure.
yours?
And thanks. Yeah, we do have a lot in common in the sense that we're both Americans, married to Dutch partners. I've been in the Netherlands now for 19 years, so
Wow.
quite some time. And yes, I'm from Pennsylvania originally, came over here for my master's and for the love, picked up the language and all of that. But yeah, and because of that whole experience during the pandemic, I found some quiet time to do something I've always wanted to do, which was write a book. So I wrote
Yay.
a novel, my first one called Place. And throughout the process of writing, I gathered a wonderful team of people to help me out, freelancers that I had met through community building in Amsterdam before, through a Spark network, a lot of them, Spark for female entrepreneurs. And
Yeah.
so I had a proofreader. I got a development editor to help me out. Same last name as me, Huber, but no relation. But we ended up being great friends. Andy Huber out in LA now. She was here during the pandemic. So just this wonderful team of people that helped me out to produce this book during the pandemic. Everything from the cover design with Cheatham Gouvin, an illustrator who now lives in the US, and then working together to produce this product. I thought, what a beautiful thing. I want to do this for other people. So
Oh.
after the book came out and things settled down, did some side projects, interim positions. I was sitting on a balcony with my Dutch mother-in-law and her partner, and just looking out over the North Sea. And they asked me what's next, and I said, well, what I would really love to do, and my mother-in-law's partner actually had a publishing house his whole life. He's since
No
retired,
way. Oh,
and I've
wow.
always found it such a respectable industry, publishing, and just always admired it, and just the whole process of self-publishing and putting that together. Really enjoyed that process. So I thought I'd really love to start some sort of a self-publishing publishing house. So publishing 2.0, but more of like a boutique idea where we help people from A to Z through all the stages that you have when you self-publish. And I know a lot of people have hangups about self-publishing, and it's not as prestigious if you get accepted by one of the big publishing houses or traditional publishing. So I just thought, let's gather all the forces of these talented freelancers out there, graphic designers, proofreaders, editors, and help other people bring their book out into the world, because I think nothing's more beautiful than that. It's just leaving a story behind that your children can find again or that people remember you by. Even, I was just thinking the other day with an audiobook that someone can still listen to your voice,
Yeah.
decades later.
Yeah.
So that's how it all got started. And I already had Amsterdam Academy for 10 years, this company to connect internationals to Dutch locals through events and through conferences and workshops. And I threw press on the back of it. So Amsterdam Academy Press. So I didn't have to do a lot of rebranding, which was great. Just did a bit of updates on the website and gathered a team of talented people, including yourself. Um,
Wow.
but the most important thing is everyone on the team really believes in that same mission of bringing out these stories into the world in a professional way as possible,
Yeah.
so that your book ends up looking like it's with one of those big publishing houses, but giving you full control. And we don't have any of the we don't get any of the royalties or have any of the rights on the books. And I also found that very important. I don't want to deal
Yeah.
with the legality surrounding it, any
Nope.
lawsuits in the future or copyright. Just
Nope.
strictly a service platform, uurtje factuurtje, as they say in Dutch, and people can just book various services, and we help them bring the book from A to Z or help them out with it, whatever aspect they're struggling with. And so, in that sense, you still keep this freedom for freelancers, but also use their talents.
Yeah. That's a really important point. And if um, people watching don't know about the book industry or know about the publishing industry and stuff, it's the idea of what Hannah just said with the rights are yours, upload stuff under your account. It's all you, the author, you own everything. And we're just helping you get there. But it's not, under Amsterdam Academy Press name or something. We get paid and pay you royalties. Nope, nope, nope. It is direct to you. Because this is, I used to call it like the Bradley moves to the Bahamas factor. And because if I or Amsterdam Academy Press is out of it, totally gone, right, we all move to the Bahamas, then the author is still it should be no change. They should still, everything is still theirs. It's all still their accounts, their login names and passwords, and it's all like legally, administratively, and financially theirs. I'm also mentioning this as a warning, as I've seen too many authors too late when they sign some contract and they sign all this stuff away and they realize they've lost all these rights and they don't have much at all, and they get this little piddly commission or something someday, maybe, and it's just, it's tough. And so I don't like to scare people with like, oh, if you don't do that, this is going to happen, but just giving out the information of exactly what we just said. So that's really important.
Right. And that's why on our homepage, we have there clear as can be self-publishing powered by Amsterdam Academy Press. So that powered by, I think, is really important. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Wow. You mentioned audiobook, and so I'm also right now helping Hannah with her own audiobook. I've done, I think, 16 audiobooks, everything from narrated done to mastered the audio to getting them uploaded to the distributors. And but for me, audio is really close to my heart. My parents passed away, and I realized how that voice, having somebody's voice forever, right? I mean, a book is one thing, but I'm so passionate about audio that you are creating the recording you're doing of your book in the audio. It's just something so special that it's like you're stamping it in time. It's there forever. And I love that you're doing it. I'm so thrilled that you're doing that. I love doing audio.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun. It's also, very confrontational to revisit your material in that kind of form. So it's kind of taking it in stages. So you have your printed version and then your ebook, and then eventually maybe a couple years later, the audio, at least for me, it's been a process.
Speaking of which, that actually is one of my editing techniques. I will read it out loud because it's brutal when you hear your work out loud.
Yes.
It's like you can't hide anything, right?
That's right.
And you're like, oh, that sentence, well, that's really not working.
Yeah.
And then, but when you hear it spoken out loud, wow, that's really cool. So what kind of people is Amsterdam Academy Press looking for? What are they struggling with? And then how can we help them? Or what's the ideal client? Is it also like genre wise? Is it like nonfiction or fiction or anything or what?
Well, for this, we just launched in January, and our client base so far has been a nice mix of pretty much what I was actually hoping for, which is solopreneurs, so those that have their own business or their own business method, and they want to put that in book form. So we have a lovely book coming out soon as an example of that. We also have legacy clients in the sense of, as terrible as it is, that they have terminal cancer diagnosis, and want to leave something behind in the world for other people, and also a gift that keeps giving in the sense of linking up their book to a fundraiser for cancer research, which I think is a beautiful thing. And we also have memoirists, and also graphic memoir based on an adoption story was one. And we also have more of like a coffee table book in the sense of these beautiful Dutch stories about Dutch historical figures with photos included and portraits of these people. And it's just a beautiful book. And we have also someone that did a new release of a book that their father actually published in the 1950s, early 1950s, about her. She was a 2-year-old at the time. Her father was a famous Dutch theater maker, Ellie Oster, and Josje is the daughter, and he wrote about her when she was small. And it was all these recognizable stories for grandparents and parents about things that children do and being a parent. So in that sense, it's also very relevant today, everything you read, and a lot of fun stories in there. So this is a beautiful, what they call in Dutch, a kraamcadeau, to give away to people as well. So it's in that sense, a really nice mix of international and Dutch clients, but also whether it be more solopreneur, business focused, or something to leave behind in the world, or it's a project that someone's been working on forever, or an ode or dedication to a family member. So long answer to your question, but a nice mix. But so far we haven't been doing a romance or fantasy or things like that, but really more a mix of nonfiction and fiction, but special projects, each one of them. And that's why we
Okay.
want to keep it as a boutique type of publishing house in that sense, to give each client enough attention because each project is so different, and the team that would
Yeah.
form around each project as well.
Okay. So where might they be? Where might the author, a potential author, a new author, where might they be like in the path of I have an idea to like finish book, I'm ready to go. What's the ideal? Where are they in that journey?
Well,
Ideally.
yeah, ideally, it's nice if someone already has their work pretty much finished. Like they have that manuscript that's
Okay.
been laying around. Maybe it went through, maybe it's like the second draft, or they had some feedback in a writing
Okay.
group. That's ideal. But that's not to say we also have clients that are starting with that idea and they're starting from scratch and they need a developmental editor to work alongside of them. And that's actually a really important process, I think, of self-publishing, is to have that accountability partner is huge.
Yeah.
And that's what I use for
Yeah.
myself. I just finished my second historical fiction novel, which is now in the beta reader round, so test readers.
Yeah.
But if I didn't have that developmental editor to help from the very beginning, to say, okay, I'm going to submit you a chapter this week, and then the following week you get the feedback and work through it, I would have never written a book. So in that sense, I don't want to discourage people like, oh, I don't have anything laying around yet. If you have a really good book idea and you just need help to find that accountability aspect,
Yeah.
and partners to help you through the process, then I'd say we're open to that as well.
Yeah. And what could be, what's even maybe more beneficial is that earlier stage, we can help guide them a little more like, oh, go this way, or, oh, try this technique, or, oh, watch out for that, or, oh, definitely don't do that.
Right.
To help
No,
save
exactly.
them some pitfalls and time and probably money.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Wow. That's great. Hey, speaking of money, so as an author who's self-published a whole bunch of books, like I know every little thing ins and outs, how to do everything, and I know how to do it quickly and efficiently and very low cost. But I know how to do all that stuff. So and also as you mentioned earlier, you were saying not everybody wants to do everything, of course. Like what is the balance of do you want a whole bunch of do it yourself and just want some accountability? Or do you want like the white glove treatment and we do everything and you sit back and drink Mai Tais, right? And everywhere in between. And so you mentioned a thing earlier, I think before we hit record, as far as how they could help fund their book project. And I thought that was really fascinating. I'm so glad you brought it up because I don't think about that, but you're absolutely right. That's an awesome idea. So can you elaborate on what I'm beating around the bush around here?
Yes, what you're beating around the bush about is crowdfunding, and that is so
Yeah.
important. And I've noticed with a couple of our clients as well, the way they're paying for their whole book to be self-published in the first place is through crowdfunding. And everyone has a network of family and friends that want to support you. They want to see you succeed. They want to see your book being birthed into the world, and they're willing
Yeah.
to pay for that. So it's also a great way just to build up the hype. So we've had clients that there are various platforms out there, too many to name, but
Right.
if you just Google search crowdfunding for book self-publishing, you'll be pointed in the direction of loads of tools. And the thing about crowdfunding is it puts a time pressure on it as well. So you're giving people like a month, 2 months to say, hey, this book is coming out. You give them various options of how they could fund your book, whether they get a copy at the end or whether they get some. We had not a client of ours, but actually someone that we know, a comic book writer, was making the comic book cards that you could also purchase. So those are just some ideas. But
Wow.
there's loads of ways that you can build up the hype and get people interested in your project. And then when it comes out, you have this nice chunk of money. You get paid once everyone funds your project, and then and everyone else then gets their beautiful book. So I want people to know that that's an option, that you don't have to just go in with an empty wallet. And it is expensive depending on what you do. I mean, like you
Yeah.
said, there's so many platforms out there for ebooks and for audiobooks,
Yeah.
and also
Yeah.
print on demand is a great tool, obviously,
Yeah.
and for worldwide distribution on all those channels. But if you go get your book printed, those are high costs. If you have an
Yeah.
editor or proofreader, to be able to pay for that, it's nice to have this nice financial buffer.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, and not to mention, not even just cost of stuff, but like you say, there's all these platforms. And for example, just my experience, I know what to do.
Yeah.
I know the steps, and I'll save you time. Say, oh, do this, don't do that, don't do that, definitely don't do that,
You've been
right?
very helpful with that. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
it's true.
that's where experience comes in of our team
Yeah.
to be able to guide you. So it's not just oh, we're doing it for you. You know, we are copying and pasting the text into the formatting tool, but it's knowing which formatting tool to use, knowing which
Yeah.
platform to use
Yeah.
to upload your book and how to do the print and everything.
And I do think it is important to mention that when you self-publish, it is kind of like having your own business in a sense.
Yeah,
And in that sense, you
yeah,
do have to have a bit of tech savviness in you. I mean, I don't consider myself tech savvy by any means, but I'm willing to learn and to go through the steps. And if you recommend a platform to use, for example,
right.
you recommended Atticus recently, so I'll go into that
Yeah,
software and get familiar with it. So I think you have to have a certain level of curiosity and willingness to learn because even when your book comes out for the rest of your life, that can generate income and you need to go in and check
yeah,
your accounts, update things. An author website is very handy to have so you can keep
right.
track of your orders and promote your book. Do a pre-sale is a great way also to make money for your book. Just get it up there
Yeah,
and start that mailing list. So there's all these different aspects that come to self-publishing, and I think it's good to make sure you have that certain level of willingness to learn and to keep it
yeah,
going because
yeah,
we help people on the path and we take care of a lot of the things and make suggestions and do things as well from A to Z. But in the end, that book is released and it's out there as an ebook or audiobook or print on demand. And then it's up to the author to continue that for the rest of their life. Um, Marketing and sales is huge. I mean, that's a lot
yeah,
of the people say that's one of the benefits of self-publishing is you have more control over that. You can do your own marketing and
right.
and sales and make the pitches, but it's a continuous process. Get out there, do a book
Yeah,
event, contact your local newspapers, let them know your book's
yeah,
out, do YouTube interviews.
yeah, exactly, exactly.
So it's really important.
Yeah. You know, that's interesting with the funding. I was just thinking sort of on the fly, and let's say somebody's listening and they're like, "Oh, well, I'm tech savvy enough. I could do that part." And so if they're thinking of their crowdfunding, maybe they could look at the services we offer and say, "Okay, well, I would need this and this and this and this. Oh, but I don't need that and that and that and that." And so like set the crowdfunding goal to achieve what they need, like from us to get it done.
Yeah, exactly. And then we
Hey,
actually put a price list on our website as well for that very reason, because we figured, okay, people coming to us are either going to need the full package, help with everything,
yeah,
or the we call it cherry picking package for that, where you could just, adjust your budget to match what your needs are.
yeah. Hey, I'm going to ask a question that I don't know the answer to, and I don't know if you do. And then it could lead into something that we could offer as not necessarily a service, but at least a like write up something or make a video about it. But if it's funny because I can like feel myself like listening to this podcast, and my question would be, "Ooh, crowdfunding. That sounds like a great idea. How do I do it?" Right? As an author, how do I want to hire Amsterdam Academy Press. I love you guys. That sounds great. I've got my awesome book idea, or I've got my manuscript collecting dust in the drawer, and I'm ready to roll. All right, Amsterdam Academy Press. I want to get the money and I want to hire you guys. So, hey, that crowdfunding idea, love it. What do I do? Right. So, not that we need to explain it all step by step here, but I'm thinking, and if we don't have the answer, then maybe that could be something we could offer as just an informational thing like, hey, dear author who'd like to get started with crowdfunding, here's a basic roadmap on what to do.
Yeah, and things to think about ahead of time and the various platforms out there because some are more geared towards graphic artists, some are more geared to whatever
Okay.
type of author.
Yeah.
So children's books, for example. So I think, yeah, and what we normally do anyway at Amsterdam Academy Press is have a free 30-minute intake call just to get a feel for, okay, what is the person's goal? What's their timeline? What are they looking to sell? What are they, because that also changes over time. You might think, oh, I want to get so many books printed, but in the end, you don't get any books printed. You end up just doing print on demand. So all those things change as you go along. And that's why we do this 30-minute intake call to kind of get a feel for what the goals are. And based on that, we make a proposal and match the author to team members that might be necessary or needed in the process. And then we also
Yeah.
make a customized timeline that also is flexible and constantly being adjusted but just to check off the boxes and make sure. So crowdfunding then would go at the very beginning and make sure you match the right type of crowdfunding platform to that particular client.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I also ask this because I don't know much about crowdfunding, so I'm interested as well. Like, how does it work? And because I know just like publishing, there's so many different platforms, and if you don't know where to start, then you're not going to start probably.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think, yeah, that would definitely be like a whole separate
Yeah.
useful, yeah,
Yeah.
session
I'd
to
like to
have.
hear it.
Yeah.
That could be really interesting. I mean, also for us as Amsterdam Academy Press to say, hey, you looking at that? Here's a bit of a how-to guide to get started with that. That could be really useful. That's really
Definitely.
interesting. I love that
Yeah.
because that's often a big hurdle. You know, you've got like you were
Definitely.
mentioning, you have some clients who are older and they're maybe not so tech savvy. They don't know how to do all this stuff, and but they really want to get that book out and they really want to get it done, and maybe they don't have the money, but get some help with crowdfunding and some hand holding to get it done. That's super neat. You know, as someone whose parents passed away in recent years, I even had my mom write a book in her literally in her last months. And she
Oh,
was like,
wow.
yeah, and she was like half annoyed, but half knew I wanted to do it and knew the benefit of it too. And she worked on it and she gave me some stuff. And in fact, I wrote a book about her,
Oh, that's
um,
beautiful.
thanks
What?
to her giving it to me, giving me some last little stories.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So
Very special. Yeah. No,
yeah,
it's a way to, yeah, and to honor someone and to leave also something behind in the world. So that's like, what's the
yeah.
name of that book, if you don't mind?
So
Or is it
no,
out
I
there
don't mind
for?
at all. Yeah, it's out there. In fact, I actually love it. It started out. My original plan was that she write it, she publish it, she does everything, but she was yeah getting sicker and sicker really. So I just gathered the stories, and then I'll never forget how the title came about. I was with my sister in Arizona, where my sister and my mom were living, and we're on a call, and my sister has it on the speakerphone on the car, in it coming out of the audio, right? And we're talking to a friend of my dad's at the time, and he loves my parents to death. He is my dad's best friend growing up forever, and he's a great guy, and but he's very like matter of fact, very like harsh. And so frankly, I think he was so heartbroken that my mom was dying. My dad had already passed away. His best friend had already passed away. Now my mom's dying. And my mom is always very upbeat, always silver lining, always has positive thing to say. I get a lot of this from my mom. And so the friend was so like combination sad and angry and on the phone, and he's like a big boisterous guy. He's like, ah, and he yells a lot. Ah. And he always would call my dad Charbonneau, last name Charbonneau, Charbonneau. He's like a grumbly guy, right? And so he's like, you know, your mom, you're always really positive and always that, upbeat, and it's that goddamn attitude. And and he meant it in such a loving way, but he was annoyed that she was still so positive in her dying month,
Oh.
that she had this goddamn attitude, which was so positive that the book is called Goddamn Attitude.
Oh, nice. Oh, I
Yeah.
love it.
So that was really important for me to get out into the world. And of course, I do this easily. That's why I'm working with you, because for me, I want to publish a book about like every idea I have. For me, it's more of a question of no, hold back. Not everything's worth a book.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, but that's a
yeah,
good point too, I think, in itself. But
yeah,
yeah, but there are so many stories worth putting out there and just, to have the
yeah,
extra support to get it out there. And it's nice that you knew
yeah,
how to do so with your mother
yeah.
and now
But
it's out
but
there.
my honest to goodness philosophy and even like mantra on that is just get it out there.
Yeah.
What's the worst that's going to happen? If it's terrible or you hate it or you regret it, big deal. You take it away, you delete it or whatever. But if
Yeah.
you don't do it, and then you're on your, sorry to be so morbid, but you're on your deathbed and you didn't do it, it's a
Well,
little
that's
late.
that thing. And that reminds me of two little factoids to share that I heard recently. One is that, um, you know, people that are perfectionists, myself included, we think, oh, no, we can't until it's absolute, all
Yeah,
the T's are crossed and the
yeah,
I's are dotted. But even the major publishing houses only catch 95% of mistakes. So there's always going to be mistakes somewhere. So I like that. Because I'm also a big fan of just do it, just put it out there. Let's just go through the motions and get it done, because that's so much more worth it. And then the other thing I thought was very motivational, or motivating, was I heard recently that first-time authors only sell 200 to 500 books in their first year with the big publishing houses, and we're all assuming, New York Times bestsellers, of course they're selling millions of copies, but it's not true. Most first-time authors sell 200 to 500 copies of a book in their first year. Self-published authors on average sell 100, if you're lucky, 200 books in their first year and make about $1,000. So I think these are important things to mention. Of course, there's exceptions to the rule, like 20 Shades of Grey, and things like that. But I think it's something to keep in mind, that it's all relative, and it's more important. What's important to you, and what are your goals? And if that's to leave something behind the world, then let's do it.
Yeah. I have a number. I have a number there. You're talking about 100 or, a million or whatever. I have a number of how your book was successful. And it's only one. It's for yourself. It's for
absolutely.
You. Right. So you publish this book for yourself. And if you receive you've created your book and you receive it, you can even buy it if you want. Buy your own book, that you're a success. That's my very philosophical Zen moment to round up our conversation.
Yeah, I like it. That's the perfect way to end. It's true. It's so true.
Yeah. Yeah. So on that note, go publish your book, get it out there. Come visit us at Amsterdam Academy Press. That's Hannah. I'm Bradley. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Thanks for having me. Thanks for being here, Hannah.
And thanks so much for having me, Bradley. And I'm looking forward to putting lots of books out there with you into the world.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Great. All right. Thanks everybody. Bye for now.
Bye.